We got some not so hype, some downward, some down kind of stuff to talk about right now. First of which is this Redfall frame rate controversy that has kind of was the discourse on Twitter for a day or two. Uh, if you didn't know, if you didn't hear about this, Redfall has been confirmed. It's coming out May 2nd. It's been confirmed to only be launching with 30 frames per second. You will not be able to play this game in 60 frames per second on console at launch. A 60 frames per second update will come to console at a later date. What that later date is has not been confirmed yet. Why the game is only being 30 FPS at launch on a console, no reason was given. It's just been said, hey, it'll be 30 FPS at launch. And this sent Xbox Twitter on a firestorm of, I'm paraphrasing here and being hyperbolic, of course, but like, how could you? How dare you? This is awful. This is the worst thing ever. I'm not playing it until the 60 FPS patch. 30 FPS is god awful. It's the worst thing to gaming. Like a whole lot. It was Xbox Twitter was mad. They were big mad about this, and I read it and I was like, I'm of two minds of it. One is that okay, this is not a good look. It's not a good look for the game or for Xbox because one, everything we've seen for the game up to this point has been 60 FPS. There has been no indication that there wasn't going to be a 60 FPS mode for the game. So announcing this roughly 2 weeks before the game comes out, it's like, okay, that's kind of disappointing. Why are we just now finding that out? I can understand that. There's also a side of it that is Redfall already kind of has an uphill battle to fight in the sense that, it's this looter shooter, which people aren't too fond of, like a looter shooter. They didn't necessarily want that from this game, but they're still kind of fine with it. They're still optimistic. But then also, like, the gameplay hasn't been the most exciting for people, and people have kind of been on the fence about where their hype is for the game for the most part. So, like, it has that uphill battle to climb as well. We had a recent preview for it from different outlets, and people were like, I'm not too sure how to feel about it. So there's been things going up against it. And on top of that, this is the first game from Bethesda that they are putting out since being acquired by Xbox as an Xbox exclusive. So you have all these things up against it that make this 30 FPS controversy a bit more, I guess, not worthwhile, but more valid. I can understand that side of it a bit more. For me personally, though, I don't really care too much because I don't have a problem playing games at 30 FPS. Like, me playing a game at 30 FPS or 60 depends on what the game is, like for my first playthrough. And like, if a game like Elden Ring, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, whatever it is, if 60 FPS is there, I want to play that at 60 FPS because that is objectively the better way to play that game. It should be played like that. But something like Spider-Man, God of War, I have no problem playing at 30 FPS. Forza Horizon 5, I have no problem playing at 30 FPS because it's stable 30 FPS as long as it's stable. It's good, and I want to be able to enjoy all the visual bells and whistles. So Redfall, maybe I would have played at 30, maybe I would have done it 60 at launch. I'm not sure, but it's not too big a deal to me. But I get why other people are mad about it. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't care. Ultimately, I don't like personally, I don't give a shit. I Bloodborne's one of my favorite games ever, and that game runs like hot ass at times. Is it still 30 frames per second?
It does. It does.
Uh, like, how bad's the jank? Like, like, notice jank, I'm good. But my expectations for this have been low, not in the sense that I'm like, this game sucks. It's not like super up my alley, but it's also like I don't have a problem with its existence. I was more a little irritated about the online only shit, but not
Yeah.
surprised whenever all that happened. And then them just being like, well, like, because it made the disc more inherently worthless, but probably when I inevitably get a Wario 64 notification about Target having it for $5, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll pick up the disc for my collection for dollars. That game was fine. But ultimately, like, I don't know. I guess I think Xbox Twitter just is ready to be mad about anything because I think they feel a little betrayed. by Microsoft in this, like, it's a broader thing of like, when's gonna be our moment? Um,
Mm-hmm.
especially with all these games that never come out and blah blah blah. And of course, the one that comes out now is having all these issues and kind of look mid them. Like, again, I love a good metaphor. Like in sports, especially like when you tank, and there's like this phrase, trust the process, that Sam Hinkie, general manager, Philadelphia 76ers, like popularized, which was just like, hey, we're gonna suck for a long time. We're gonna have all these draft picks. We're gonna trade everything we can. There's nothing we won't trade, and then we'll just like keep throwing darts at the dartboard, and we'll win all these championships. That's the thought process. And I feel kind of similarly about Xbox. Xbox is like, we're buying all the studios, we're planting all the seeds. No more of this. We're buying. We're not Sony. We're not going to money hat exclusives. This is who we are. We're building a culture. Trust the process. And now it's year 5. We don't have a title. We don't even have a fucking superstar. Like, what's going on? And I think they're
Mm-hmm.
just like, when is our turn, man? This sucks. I'm tired
Yeah.
of trusting the process. And you've got and it feels like Phil, love him, hate, like, I mean, I do like Phil Spencer. He seems like a genuine guy, but I'm sure some people are just like, oh, I'm getting tired of this Phil, and of course they'll blame Phil. But he's like this, he to trust the process. We gave you Game Pass. What more do you want? And they're like, well, we want exclusives that we can dangle over our Sony friends. Because that's all any of this is about, right? Because they feel personally invested and attached to this, the success of Microsoft, and they want to, be able to shove it in their friends' faces the same way you do when your sports team wins a title. That's all any of this outrage is. That's the root cause, not to play video game therapist here too much, but that's the root cause of all this shit. And so it's like, but I don't care about any of that. I think it's funny to make jokes about Microsoft's expense every once in a while, but I don't genuinely believe any of that. I could care less. Most of the games I've beat this year have been on my Xbox. I had a great time. But like, yeah, it's not a great exclusives machine for the time being. I'll play Redfall. Whether or not I enjoy it will have zero. Like, it won't be like an indictment on Microsoft for me. Um, but having no investment and just being like, yeah, I just ready for cool stuff to happen, versus being like treating it like a sport team and being invested like the disappointment, like every year the Cowboys get eliminated. It's just like, I'm ready to go jump off a bridge, that's the difference. I get the
Oh no.
frustration. You can't view video games that way, man. Like, that's not what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I get it. I don't think it's the end of the world. For me personally, it's not as big a deal as many people are making it out to be. I can understand the frustration. And
Yeah.
I do think part of it is, like you said, just like it's this is supposed to be our time, man. When is it gonna be our time? And like, this is like a ding against the game that we know people are hoping is gonna be one of the ones for 2023 for Xbox and all like that. So, and I saw some people say, man, I hope I hope, not looking forward to having this conversation again when Starfield comes around. And it's like, all right, let's like, in my mind, like, let's pump the brakes, because honestly, I don't think anyone should expect Starfield to have be 60 FPS at launch. Like, if it is
But
cool, but
they
like,
will.
right, that's the thing. Like, if it is cool, but at the same time, like, Starfield is a very different game and going for a very different like ambition and all like that. So that being 30 FPS only would be more understandable. But I imagine like maybe it'll have a 60 FPS mode. But again, like, we should pump the brakes on getting ready for more frames per second controversy out here, guys. Let's relax now. Let's dial it down. We don't need to be that nerdy about our games and our tech and everything.
From
Now,
now on, anytime any bad Microsoft news happens, I'm just gonna say trust the process.
trust the process. Trust the process. I like that. I like that. That'll be the slogan now.
I know.
That should be
Man, we just need
that.
that on the Summer Games Fest, like, the Microsoft
Yes.
logo, and it just says trust the process.
Yes. That's what it needs to put in any of their showcases now. Xbox, trust the process. Trust the process.